We're going to look at multiplying and dividing fractions today. On the screen, you can see 2/6 times 3/6. Now, there are a couple of ways to approach this question. If I do it the normal standard way, and we'll go through that, and then I'll show you how we can make this a little bit more efficient. So to multiply any fraction, you just multiply the top two numbers together. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. You simplify that. How many 6s in 6? 1. How many 6s in 36? 6. So the answer is 1/6. Now, let's say that you look at this and we want to be a little bit clever about this. The first thing we can do is we can simplify the individual fractions. So 2/6, well, 2's into 2 go 1, 2's into 6 go 3, and 3's into 3 go 1, and 3's into 6 go 2. So the fraction you're left with is 1/3 times 1/2. Using the same method to multiply fractions, 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 2 is 6. However, there's something else that we can do. So if we rewrite that fraction over here, we can also, in multiplication, simplify diagonally. Okay? So in this case, I could say that 2's into 2 go 1, 2's into 6 go 3, 3's into 3 go 1, 3's into 3 go 1. Therefore, I'm left with 1/6 times 1/1, and the answer is just 1/6. So there are a few different approaches that you can use, and you can pick and choose whichever is the easiest. But it's worthwhile always simplifying either the individual fraction as soon as you can, whether it's an addition, subtraction, multiplication, or a division. But in multiplication, you can also simplify diagonally. Let's have a look at the second one. Well, here we see 2/4 times 1/5. Well, straight away, we ask ourselves, can we simplify any of the individual fractions? 2/4 can be simplified. 2's into 2 go 1, 2's into 4 go 2. So I'm left with 1/2 times 1/5. Multiply those out. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 5 is 10. Let's look at number 4. It says 6/8 times 1/3. I'd like you to have a go at this one. So spend a couple of minutes, pause the video, come back, and we'll see how you got on. How did you do? Well, in this question, we can see 6/8. So we could, if we wanted to, simplify that fraction immediately. But we can also see that we could simplify the 6 and the 3. So you have a choice here. I'm going to simplify the individual fraction. So 2's into 6 go 3, and 2's into 8 go 4. I'm left with 3/4 times 1/3. And now I'm going to simplify diagonally. So I can do 3's into 3 go 1, 3's into 3 go 1. Well, 1/1 is just 1. And 1 multiplied by anything, you're just left with the anything, whatever you were multiplying with. So in this case, the answer is just 1/4. So I hope you got that right. If you didn't, I hope you understood the explanation. And let's move on to the next one. Well, this is fairly simple. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 3 is 9. So let's look at one more. Number 6. 2/3 times 4/6. What do you think we should do here? Well, we have a few options. Once again, we can simplify diagonally or the individual fraction. So we have a choice. I'm going to simplify the individual fraction. So I have 2's into there go 2, and 2's into there go 3. Now I have 2 times 2, which is 4, and 3 times 3, which is 9, and the answer is 4/9. Now let's look at dividing fractions. Now these can sometimes be some of the more challenging types of fractions, but there are a couple of methods here that make these really, really simple. So the first one is that you look at the fraction and it says 3/5 divided by 2/5. Well, the simple method is keep the first fraction the same, change the divide to its opposite sign, which is a multiplication, and flip the second fraction upside down onto its head. And now you have a multiplication fraction. And we can see that when you multiply the top numbers together and then the bottom numbers together. But we can also simplify. 5s into 5 go 1, 5s into 5 go 1, 3 times 1 is 3, and 1 times 2 is 2. And there's your answer if we leave it as an improper fraction. If you want to convert it to a mixed number, you say 2s into 3 go 1, with the 1 left over, and you keep it over the same denominator. Let's look at the second one. 1/6 divided by 5/6. Keep it, change it, flip it. Okay? Keep it, change it, flip it. Keep, change, flip. Okay? And in this case, 6 goes into 6 once, 6 goes into 6 once. The answer is just 1/5. Looking at question 4, we're going to try 2 different methods here. So the first one is that you keep the first fraction the same, change the divide to a multiplication, flip the second fraction upside down onto its head. Remember, keep it, change it, flip it. We then recognize that the 4 and the 8 can be simplified. 4s into 4 go 1, 4s into 8 go 2. So we're left with 3/1 times 2/5. And that just gives me 3 times 2 is 6, over 1 times 5 is 5. And if I want to convert that into a mixed number, 5s into 6 go 1, 1 left over, and that's over the same denominator, 1 1/5. Now, the other method that you can use does make these a lot simpler. All we have to do, starting on the top left number, is 3 times 8 is 24. 5 times 4 is 20. And then you can simplify. You can say 4s into 24 go 6. 4s into 20 go 5. Look at that, exactly the same answer. And that is 1 1/5. Let's do the same method on number 5 and number 6. 5 times 3 is 15. 1 times 8 is 8. 8 and 15 go 1 with 7 left over. Put it over the same denominator, gives you 1 7/8. Let's look at the second one. 4 times 4 is 16. 3 times 5 is 15, which gives me 1 1/15. The other way you could have done that, as we looked earlier, is keep it, change it, flip it, which gives you 4 times 4 is 16, 5 times 3 is 15, which is 1 1/15, gives you exactly the same answer. So you've got a couple of choices there in terms of which methods you want to pick and choose from. I hope you found that video useful. Thanks for watching.